Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Blissful Biz podcast. I'm your host, Susanna Reicher, and today I want to talk to you about something I see happening all the time, not just with my students, but honestly, in my own journey too. It's something that can quietly hold you back, even when you're doing everything right. You're showing up, you're creating content, you're putting in the effort, but still things aren't really moving. You're not seeing the kind of growth or engagement or sales you hoped for. And what I've come to realize is that in many cases, this isn't really a strategy issue. It's not about the algorithm. It's not even about your offer. It's about visibility, not just in terms of reach or how many people see your posts, but your willingness to be seen. I'm Susanna Reicher, digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience, turned yoga teacher, turned six-figure online business owner. 10 years ago, I flew to Bali for a yoga teacher training, fell in love with the island, and decided to build an online business so I could live there. Can't be that hard, right? That decision launched me into an adventure bigger than I'd ever imagined. Over the last 8 years, I've guided over 1,000 yoga teachers and hard-led coaches how to launch and sell their digital offers, build their brand and websites, and build a profitable online business. In this podcast, I share real proven strategies and the exact steps that work. Whether you're just starting out or ready to scale, we'll dive into everything from creating offers your students can't resist to making digital marketing work for you. If you're ready to build a business that brings both freedom and success, you are in the right place. Let's take a moment to really explore what it means to be hiding in plain sight. Because you might be showing up, you're posting, maybe even consistently. You're sharing tips, maybe some quotes or behind the scenes photos. From the outside, it looks like you're doing everything you're supposed to. But when you slow down and really tune in, are you actually allowing yourself to be seen? And I don't mean being loud or overly personal or sharing every little detail of your life. I mean letting people connect with the real you, your voice, your presence, your energy. That's what matters. Because what I see so often, especially with hard-led entrepreneurs, spiritual entrepreneurs, yoga teachers, is that it's easy to stay in a loop of content creation that feels productive, but still keeps you hidden. You do the work, you check all the boxes, but you're still holding something back. Maybe it's a fear of being judged. Maybe it's perfectionism. I'm definitely guilty of that. Maybe you're waiting to feel more confident before you share more openly. And I get it. I so get it. I've been there too. But when we don't let people see who we are, it becomes harder for them to trust us. And without trust, it's very difficult to build a business that actually converts, one where your content leads to sales, not just likes. So, this is the real question. What would it look like for you to show up more fully in a way that still feels safe, but also a little braver than before? Because that's often when things begin to shift. When I started my business back in the day, I was doing this too. I didn't even use my own name. I called it Happy Yoga Marketing, which sounded cute, if a little silly. I came up with it because I already had another blog, Happy Yoga Travels. So it fit with that, and I thought I would have the yoga travel blog with yoga retreats, etc., and the marketing blog offers. And for a while, that worked for me. I wrote blog posts, I created tutorials, online courses, shared lots of educational content, all from behind the scenes. And I told myself that was enough. I was helping people and I was proud of what I was building. But after a while, deep down, I knew I wasn't showing up fully. I wasn't letting people really get to know me. I was sharing my knowledge, but not my presence. And it got to a point where I couldn't ignore that anymore, especially as I started teaching other people about visibility and personal branding. I realized that if I wanted people to trust me and feel connected to me, I had to be willing to come out from behind the curtain. So I slowly began to make some changes. I switched to using my own name for my business. And actually, I think it was 2018, so really a while ago. I started speaking more freely about my journey. I created content that felt more personal, not just educational, but more reflective and real. And yes, at first it felt a little vulnerable. I also really struggled with showing up on video. I wasn't used to putting my face out there or sharing what I really thought, especially if it didn't sound perfectly on brand. But I could feel the difference almost immediately when I wrote something more personal or sent out a newsletter with a personal story where I shared about struggles or vulnerabilities. People responded, they reached out, and they shared their own stories with me. So over time, that connection translated into more trust, more engagement, and yes, more sales. Not because I suddenly became better at marketing, but because I stopped hiding. Now, I want to be clear here. I don't think you need to share everything. You can set up your boundaries. You don't have to go live every day or reveal deeply personal details if that doesn't feel aligned. But I do believe that if you want to grow a business that feels true to you and actually supports you financially, you need to let people in a little. You need to be willing to show your face, to speak in your real voice, to take up space online in a way that feels real and genuine. Because content alone isn't what builds connection. You are. And when that part is missing, when your content is helpful but impersonal or visually polished but emotionally flat, it can create a disconnect. People might follow you, but they don't feel compelled to take the next step of working with you because they don't know what makes you different. They don't feel like they really know you. And so often, that's the missing link when content doesn't lead to sales. This is what happened to one of my students. She had this exact experience. She was a wonderful yoga teacher, kind, experienced, knowledgeable, and she posted regularly on Instagram. She shared quotes, flyers for her classes, little tips here and there. But when we looked at her content together, I could see that it was all surface level. Her voice wasn't in it. Her face wasn't visible anywhere. Her story wasn't in it. She told me she was nervous about being judged, that she didn't feel comfortable showing up on video, and also that she didn't want to make it all about her. And I get that, I really do. But here's what I told her, and what I want to share with you too. You're not being visible for you. You are doing it for the people you are here to serve. When you hide, they miss out. When she finally started sharing more of her journey, nothing dramatic, just small, true moments, her audience began to respond. Her engagement grew, more people reached out, and yes, she started selling more of her offers. It wasn't about being louder, it was about being more real. So, how do you begin to move through this? How do you actually work with the fear instead of letting it quietly run the show? I want to offer a few gentle practices you can explore. Nothing dramatic, nothing forced, just some small, grounded ways to shift your energy and begin to feel safer being seen. These are things that I've used myself and that I also recommend to my students when visibility feels especially vulnerable. So let's start with something really simple. First, use an affirmation that brings you back to service. This has been such a game changer for me, especially in moments when I feel a little off before I record a video or publish a post. The one I always come back to is this: I'm here to serve, I'm here for them. I'm here to serve, I'm here for them. That little sentence helps me stop thinking about how I look or whether it's perfect or should I wash my hair before I do this video. And it reminds me why I'm doing this in the first place. I'm here to serve, I'm here for them. So you can write it on a post-it, stick it on your laptop, whisper it to yourself before you press record. Let it become an anchor, something that steadies you when the nerves kick in. Next, you can try a short EFT tapping routine. If you haven't done this before, EFT or tapping is a technique that helps calm your nervous system by applying gentle pressure to specific points on your body while saying affirming phrases out loud. In the podcast episode before this one, I actually interviewed Caris Anderson. She's a tapping expert. She's creating her own app on tapping. So we talk more about that in that episode. Check it out. I really highly recommend it. It might sound a bit strange at first, but it really does help, especially with something like fear of visibility, which often sits in the body, not just the mind. So here's a simple one to try. Start by tapping the side of your hand and say, even though I'm scared to be seen, I'm open to feeling safe now. Even though I'm scared to be seen, I'm open to feeling safe. Then gently move through the other pressure points. Your eyebrow, side of the eye, under the nose, chin, collarbone, and under the arm. And repeat some soft, honest phrases like, it feels vulnerable to be visible. I'm afraid of being judged. Part of me wants to stay hidden, and that's okay. I choose to trust myself. I can show up in small ways. I am safe to be seen. Just a minute or two can help you shift from tension to calm. And the more often you practice it, the more quickly your body starts to believe it. Number 3, simply name the fear. This one's so gentle, but it can be incredibly powerful. If you feel a knot in your stomach before you go live, or you suddenly find yourself procrastinating on posting something that feels a bit more personal, pause, breathe, and say something like, this feels scary right now, or I'm feeling exposed and I don't love that. You're not trying to push the fear away. You are just meeting it with compassion. And that simple act of acknowledging what's there without judgment often softens the grip it has over you. Next, you can try to reconnect with someone who needs your message. So I love this practice because it immediately brings your focus back to the heart of your work. think of one person, maybe a student you've helped or someone who's emailed you to say your class or your post made a difference. Picture them in your mind. Imagine speaking just to them. That small shift from performing to connecting changes so much. Your content stops about proving something and becomes an act of service. And finally, give yourself permission to start small. This is a big one. We often think we need to be super confident or have it all figured out before we start showing up more fully. But in my experience, confidence usually comes after the action, not before. So don't wait to feel perfectly ready. Just take one small step. Maybe that's posting a photo of yourself with a short caption or recording a little story in your own voice. That's how I started getting more comfortable with showing up on video. I used Instagram stories. I allowed myself 1 or 2 takes before I posted so I wouldn't get stuck in perfectionism. And then I posted it. And it was gone after 24 hours. This is how I started. Just start small. Just record one story or write about something that actually matters to you, even if it's not polished. You don't have to leap into full visibility overnight. You just need to begin. Each of these practices can help you slowly rebuild a sense of safety around being seen so that showing up online starts to feel less like something to survive and more like a space where you get to be yourself and where you actually get to grow, where you're going to learn more about self love and really acceptance, self acceptance. This is where the real connection and the real growth begins. So I want to ask you before we wrap it up, are you truly showing up or are you hiding in plain sight? Because it's so easy to do, and there are phases as well. We create beautiful Canva graphics, plan out helpful tips, share a quote here and there, and from the outside, it looks like we're doing all the right things. But if we're not sharing from the heart, if we're not allowing people to see who we are behind the post, then we are missing the point. The goal isn't to impress, it's to connect. It's actually what I've done with this podcast episode. First, I plan to talk about something very tactical, very strategic. And then I sat down this morning and I felt this didn't resonate. This is not what you need. This is not what I need to talk about today. I had those discussions with some of my students last week, and this showed up. So I was like, okay, this is what I need to talk about. This is what I need to share, not only to help you, but also to connect, to share my perspective, my stories here. So if you're feeling stuck or frustrated with your content, maybe it's time to take a step back and ask yourself, where am I holding back? Where am I playing it safe? Is this what my intuition is really telling me to talk about? Connect to your inner voice. What does your audience need to hear? What do you really want to talk about? And use that to show up a little more fully this week. Doesn't have to be huge. Maybe it's recording a short voiceover video or writing a caption that sounds more like how you actually talk. You get to decide what visibility looks for you. But I promise, when you start leaning into it, everything else gets easier. People connect more quickly. They trust you sooner. They see you not just as someone who knows what they're doing, but as someone they want to learn from, hopefully buy from, and stay connected to. And if you want more support with this and also the strategy and tactical side of creating content, showing up, building momentum in a way that's aligned with your energy. I teach all of that inside my program Flow. It's a complete system for creating magnetic content, building your audience, and making sales with ease. Not through hustle, but through consistency, clarity, and connection. We'll be reopening enrollment to a completely updated version soon. And if this episode resonated with you, it might be the exact next step you've been looking for. I'll share more in the next week, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for being here with me today. I hope this gave you something to reflect on and maybe even permission to stop holding back so much. The truth is, your people don't need perfect, they just need you. Until next time, stay visible, stay grounded, and keep showing up in the way only you can do. You've got this. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Blissful Biz podcast. If you found this helpful, I'd love it if you hit subscribe and left a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other yoga teachers and coaches find these strategies too, and it would mean the world to me. It really makes a difference. And if you're ready to take the next step, head over to my website, susannereiker.com, where you'll find my free resources, latest blog posts, and all the ways we can work together to grow your online business. Until next week, keep building your blissful biz.